We're going to go ahead and try this again. For those of you who have had trouble recording so far, hopefully it's not the same problem I have, which is that QuickTime did not record with my voice. So here's take two. Today we're going to use some QRP data that I have to show a couple of different scatter plots. So we'll go ahead and get started by opening up that file. So you see here where my cursor is, it's library read Excel, and then it's this QRP EL is the name that I named this data file. I pushed into it this file. It's an Excel spreadsheet, and then we want to view it. So that if we run this right here, and we get our data set, which will populate here. It's got a whole bunch of variables in it. Obviously, we're not going to use, all of these, but it's got some of the ones that we're interested in, like, let's see, age, gender, we'll use that variable. There's an experience one that we'll use right here. There's a current hire, which is, I'll explain it later, but essentially it's how much say do you currently have in hiring decisions. And so we'll use those when we go through this this exercise. So the first assignment we had was to do a simple scatter plot. So we go ahead and we open up this QRP EL, that data set again. And then it's asking us to do a scatter plot. So we do plot, and then what are we plotting with our X and Y axes? We're plotting age by experience. Those are the variable names from this data set up here. And then we'll add main, which is the command for adding a title above. So if you notice, it's main equals age by experience. So that's what's here. And then, of course, making sure that we're using, which is counterintuitive to me, quotations and then a comma when we're adding things to this command. So then we go to XLab, which is for the label of the x-axis, which says age. If you notice, it's also here age. YLab, which is for the Y label, years of work experience. And then it's followed by this PCH17, which at first I was like, what is this? Well, I looked online, and essentially it's a command for what type of shape and color of the scatter points, the data points themselves. So I found it online. There's a website, if you search for it, it shows you what the different numbers are. So PCH17 is this black triangle, which is what he asked us to use. Whereas if we wanted a blue circle, it would be PCH21. So hopefully that's helpful. And then you close the parentheses and run. So if we do that, we'll see that we get this same graph here. See, it just popped up there. And so then we'll move on. That gives us the graph we were looking for. If you expand these panes out, though, it will show some more space between the data points, and then that will help you kind of see where the differences are among age versus years of work experience. So with that said, you can export it and save it as an image or a PDF, or you can take a screenshot of it, but that gives you the data plot that you're looking for. So then we'll go into our next task, which is to use a horizontal bar plot with added labels. So in order to do that, we see here we create this variable counts, and this is something that I've seen online as well. So I'm assuming it's a term that they use for the bar plots. I mean, it makes sense because essentially bar plots are looking at frequencies, and so forth. We're getting a count of people, in this case of different genders, then that would be why it's a count of this. So counts, we're going to create this label, which is of the table with my data set, QRP, followed by money sign, which attaches to it the variable of interest, which is gender, close parentheses. And then from there, now that we have this variable created, we can run the bar plot itself. So the command bar plot into counts, which is our new variable that is this data set, this variable. And then, of course, we wanted to add a title to it, which is why it says main equals gender identification. Let me see. I think I can pull that up for you guys. Okay, yes, here. So if you notice, it's the same here, gender identification, it's up here too. Um, we wanted the bars to be horizontal instead of vertical, and so I think the default is vertical, so you wouldn't necessarily have to have this command if you wanted them to be vertical, but horiz is equals true, that's obviously that we want them to be horizontal. So if we keep moving down this command, xlab, just like the previous graph, the label for the x-axis is number, the y-lab is gender for the y-axis, and if you notice, I initially did not include these commands, and I went back and added them because I did not initially have them, which is why they're not totally popping up on here. So then when I added that to the command, they popped up gender and number. And then, this command here is names.arg equals C, which is the command for what are the names of the 4 bars or categories within this graph. And I wanted those to be male, female, other, and NA. And if you notice on this graph, they're not necessarily all popping up because it's not expanded enough, but if I scroll it up, then they all 4 appear. And so when you close that parenthesis, then you get the same graph again, which is perfect. So then we'll go ahead and do the third one, which is the density plot. And at the density plot, we're looking at experience level versus, I believe your current hiring experience. So do I have some say, all say, or no say in hiring decisions? But before we can do that, in order to use, let me delete this. This is the current smooth. This was a different package I was looking at. Sorry about that. But we have to install this package. It's called SM package for the density plot. So when I searched online and it said, you need an SM package in order to do these density plots, which is the graph that Stephen wanted us to use. So I found this package online. I installed it, I downloaded it, and this is the text file that it gave me for the R software. And so I went ahead and selected this and ran it as a command in my R, and that essentially downloaded the package. You can also find it here if you go to packages, see it's SM here, and you can download it that way as well and install it. So then once that's installed, I wanted to compare the distributions, so I did, or I said that 1, 2, or 3 means some say, all say, or no say. So like I said earlier, 1 being that you have some say, 2 being that you have all say, and 3 being that you don't have any say in hiring decisions. So we go ahead and we open up this SM package from our library. Then we attach it our data set here, which is the one that you see in this tab. And then we go ahead and we want to create some labels for the values 1, 2, and 3, because in the data set themselves, let me see if I can pull it up. If you see in here, there are 3s and 1s and 2s because that is the rating that we gave in the survey itself. And so essentially we're going to add labels to that by creating this function here of your employment decision factor, essentially. So empl.f, we're creating this factor. And so we use factor, open parentheses, of experience. And there are levels. There's 3 levels, and we denote those here as 1, 2, and 3. And then, you denote what those labels are. So 1 is some say, 2 is all say, 3 is no say. And so when we run that, it will give us the labels. Then we come down here and we say, okay, well, now that we've figured out what the variables actually stand for, we can run the plot density, which is this sm.density.compare, because we're comparing the different experience versus the amount of say that you have. So those are our 2 variables, experience, current hire. We add the labels, which is years of experience. Then we do a title, which is main equals hiring status by years of experience. I believe I have a graph of this. Let me see. Okay, yes, this is the graph. So, so as you can see, there's years experience, the density, and the title hiring status by years experience. And if you notice, we're missing something because initially I did not add this. I just ran this part right here. And I said, okay, I'm missing a legend. I can't tell what the red line is, what the blue line versus the green line is. And so I went and found this legend command. They're calling it coal fill. And essentially what you have to change for your own command based on your graph is this factor that you created. You need to make sure it matches the factor up here. And then it should work other than that. So I ran this whole thing. Well, maybe I did. And I got the same graph, so that's good news. And if you notice, I have this cursor with the plus sign on it. And initially, I clicked like here. And if you notice, it cuts off the plot. So you have to make sure that you have enough room for your plot. So when I did it correctly, I came up with, well, I guess it was this one. And if you expand it out, it has all of it on there. So that's, and then I took a screenshot of this. So there is the last graph, and if you can see that one red is some say, so you can see where the years experience peak for that versus say no say, which peaks a little earlier in your years experience, and so you're able to compare there. So hopefully this has been helpful. I hope that you learn from my mistakes so that you don't have to have them yourselves, and thanks for